All today.
Thanks, Dana. Hi, everybody. As we wait for a few more folks to come in, uh, let's do the classic throw in the chat which chapter you're in from. Would love to see how much of the country we've got joining us today. Kelly, you're here already. You told me you were going to be late. I'm so glad you are already here. All right, I see a lot of the East Coast, some Midwest. There's the West Coast. We love to see it. And the South, we've got the South. Well, welcome everybody. I am going to jump in, but we will welcome a few more folks as they are able to join. As you already know, we're going to talk about membership today, and that involves recruiting and retention. And I want to make sure you leave with some practical strategies today. Sorry. Had a note on my last slide that didn't make sense, but here we go. We're going to talk first about recruiting. So think about a time you recommended a product or a service to a friend. If you want to throw in the chat something you've recently recommended, we'd love to see it. But if I'm recommending a lawn service, I'm not just going to say you have to get this lawn service, they're the best, or you should do this, right? I'm going to tell you if they're fast or inexpensive, or they leave clean edges and no grass clippings. If I'm recommending a shampoo to you, but I just say you should use it, are you likely to buy that shampoo? Probably not. I need to tell you whether it smells good or makes my hair super soft and shiny. So when we're thinking about recruiting people to AGA, we have to know the value proposition. What does AGA offer? What does your AGA chapter offer? And I want you to constantly think about the new members question, what's in it for me? They might not say that specifically, they probably won't, but when you know what's on offer, it makes it easier to have the conversation. I just keep trying to use this slide as much as possible. Lindsay put this together for PDT, Lindsay from our incredible marketing and communications team. So take a moment, these are all member benefits, and if you will, drop in the chat which one of these stickers or benefits you feel most comfortable sharing about. I'm not asking you to share, just which benefit do you talk about the most, or think about the most, or use the most. All right, Kelly, getting us started with members only webinars for sure. We have one tonight. Networking, of course, of course. Come on, we got 24 of you on here. I gotta get more than 2 responses. Okay. Networking. It's okay to copy others' responses. No grades here. Okay, so I'm going to take a speed run through some of our member benefits in case it inspires you. You do not have to say these benefits this way. Yes, free CPE for sure. That's a big draw for a lot of people. But hopefully it gives you some ideas of benefits you can talk about and ways to talk about them. Of course, first up, membership guarantees you at least 4 free webinars per year exclusively for members. Last year, we were able to add 1 more into the program year. This year, we've already added 2 extra in the fall, so stay tuned in the spring, see if we're able to add any extra. But members also get the best price on our paid webinars and trainings. Of course, members get 6 free CPE every year from our TTS. And if you're able to join us in person, we will feed you too for free. AGA members get the most up-to-date thought leadership dropped into their email inbox regularly. This includes quarterly journal issues, research publications, and the topics email newsletter every 2 weeks. I find that these are not the most talked about member benefits, but for a lot of people, this is why they stay members, because they enjoy getting the journal. Of course, our national trainings and events, your $100 or $160 membership, government or private, saves you $200 on registration for our national events like NLT, PDT, fraud, and I don't know why I put TTS on there. I apologize. That shouldn't be there. It's free. And then, of course, you need to know what AGA stands for. We've been hearing this a lot lately. If it's not Association of Government Accountants, what does it stand for? And I have been guilty of saying it doesn't stand for anything. AGA does stand for something. We stand for increasing public trust. We're hearing a lot about public trust and government accountability and efficiency, right? So knowing what AGA stands for can make it easier to have those conversations about joining AGA. All right, the next couple slides, I apologize if you were at LEAD with us in April, but it has been a long time. It's been 6 months, so I am recycling a few slides because I do think that they are evergreen. And I am going to ask you to drop the next thing in the chat, so go ahead and get your typing fingers ready. What do all of these have in common? If you were at LEAD, hold off for a second. You already know the answer. Was everybody here at LEAD? Branding, name, and product. Yes, all of these are, brands we recognize. They're household names for common items. When is the last time you went to the grocery store or the pharmacy looking for cotton swabs? You probably call them Q-tips. Do you shop for moisturizing lip balm or do you shop for chapstick? These brands have incredible brand awareness, and that's what we're going to talk about next. We know that we have just under 10,000 members at AGA right now. We also know that at last count, there is no official count, but at last count, the US had at least 90,000 government entities. So we are at about 10% if we had one member at every agency and entity. And of course, we know that several of our folks come from the same agency or entity or work in the private sector. So we have some awareness to build. Brand awareness is the extent to which it's recognized by potential customers and correctly associated with product or service. This is very similar to value proposition, but value proposition is easier for you to talk about to build brand awareness. I'm not asking you to name them right now, but I imagine if I asked you to name a brand that you have negative feelings about, you could come up with a couple of those pretty quickly. You can probably picture their logo and perhaps even a human attached to that brand. Similarly, if I asked you to go shopping right now, you can name a few brands you feel positively about. Oh, there we go. It's the general feeling of the business and other experiential details. We know that we build the most brand awareness at AGA through employers. This can be coworkers or, I'm sorry, this is friend and coworker. So if you look at employer, friend, and coworker, that's far more than half, almost 75% of our new members that tell us where they came from employer, friend, or coworker, and 85 come from these 4 items combined. This means they come from our members and CGFMs talking about AGA. Now, not all of these things are in your control. Some of our beloved members are not at work right now. And so obviously they are not hearing from their employer or talking to their coworkers about AGA, unless maybe they you would never have a secret text thread on the side. But do your coworkers know that you are not only an AGA member, but an AGA leader? If they don't, why not? If you are a CGFM, we have an excellent promo right now. Do you know about it? Have you talked about it? Have you identified others who should become a CGFM? Some chapters host CGFM study groups, and we heard a lot last year about those. We have people coming to us asking for more CGFM study groups in their chapter. All this to say, the easiest way or the most effective way that our brand awareness is built is through conversations. So how do we start the conversation? I get asked very often for a note card or a script or what to say to recruit a new member. And I am not going to give that to you because there is no one script or set of talking points that is a foolproof way to recruit a new member. This is going to be very personal for everyone. People are watching their spending right now. They might not be making year-long decisions right now. So we're going to talk about some responses for those. The number one way to recruit is ask questions, listen, and identify ways to support. So you're going to ask something about them, listen for ways that AGA or your chapter can support or encourage in that arena. If it's, their mom's health conditions, probably AGA can't support with that, but you can try to steer the conversation towards work or, current events in government financial management in your area. And then, of course, support. So these are easy ways to ask, how are things going at work? I mean, that's obvious, but it's something you might say. It's something that's easy, comfortable, and familiar to say. I was recently talking to some folks in South Carolina. They are looking at major spending on state employees' salaries to improve employee retention. That is an easy conversation starter for me with our members or future members in South Carolina. I don't know what's going on in all of your 50 states or with all 90,000 government entities, but you probably know a good amount of what's going on in your area. And that affects people. How does it affect them? Or if you just saw on LinkedIn that they got a promotion, got a certification, you name it, congratulate them and ask them what's next. Maybe AGA could be what's next for them. When we're talking about supporting, of course, start with that heartfelt sentiment if it makes sense. If they're anticipating a job cut or loss, that stinks. I'm sorry to hear that. Did you know AGA has a job board or a networking where you might meet your future employer? If they are a young person and they're frustrated because they have leadership experience from being in school, maybe they were always the group leader or an internship or something like that, but now they are, the newest hire, they can get leadership experience in your chapter executive committee. And we are always looking to pull the young people in for those things. So matching those specifically to what they're telling you, they're dealing with. Anybody have other suggestions of things they might hear in these conversations? And we can help you match some member benefits to those. Okay, what I'm hearing is we're excited to start the conversations because we haven't had a whole lot of them yet. My apologies, my four-legged assistant has a lot to say about member benefits. All right, I am going to move on. If you think of other, things you might hear in a conversation and ways to match this to an AGA member benefit, go ahead and drop that in the chat and we can address later.
Meredith, could I put it up?
Yes, please do.
Yeah, I don't know if people were texting or chatting or what the heck they're doing, but anyways, one of our members on the CEC and I are going to meet with our student chapter in Richmond, and tomorrow night, as a matter of fact. And so I'd really like to hear the things that we can do with respect to student memberships. Maybe it's later in your presentation. I know I've read some of that stuff somewhere, but I'd like to hear it again if I could.
Sorry, my audio bar keeps disappearing. Yes, definitely. We did have a student membership town hall not too long ago, and I'm always happy to meet with you. For students, students are looking for access, right? They are very worried about this job market. They are hearing about it a lot, especially if they're studying financial information, data analysis right now. They are likely aware of what's happening in government as a whole, and they may not be aware that your state government, city government is completely separate, not completely separate, but very, very far away from what's happening in Washington, D.C. right now. Mm-hmm. I toot my own horn a little bit, started grad school this semester. So I have been sitting with 22-year-olds in our master's level classes, and I will tell you, they spend half of class on LinkedIn and Handshake and job sites, and they are using their class time to look for jobs. That is how worried they are. And these are, top tier A+ students. The best thing you can offer them is access to their future employer. Can they shadow you at work for an afternoon? Can they join your chapter executive committee to get something else to put on their resume? I do want to open it up here. If other people have ideas, please jump in or drop those in the chat. But yeah, make sure you're taking stuff with you, right? AGA pens, flyers. We can send you some extra journals if they are not sure what the government financial management landscape looks like and you want to give them a taste of what's going on.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's really going to be about that access and network.
Okay, thanks.
Resume builders, yeah. Oh, I just thought of another thing. Maybe you make them the campus liaison for your chapter, and that's how they're on the CEC. But we have a lot of chapters that like to put students in for their social media or webmaster roles. Um, Maybe you have a student skim the chapter newsletter before it goes out and make any suggestions. What doesn't make sense here? What needs, a little more elaboration? And yeah, Kelly posted in the chat, they could potentially meet people working at employers that are hiring. And then of course our scholarship opportunities. So on that note, the NLT scholarship opens in 6 days on October 27th. So if you can get us their email addresses, we will make sure they get an email with the application. I do think our NLT scholarship, oh my gosh, I can talk about this all day. I do think our NLT scholarship is the best opportunity that we offer for undergrad. It is I'm going to say almost all expenses paid trip to DC for national leadership training. We will pair them with a professional to, an AGA member to be kind of their point person throughout the 2 days of training. But they'll get to network not only with their peers that also earned the scholarship, but also with those industry professionals. And of course, attend the training and all, all the wonderful things that come with NLT.
Yeah.
Oh, perfect. Dana just put that in the chat. Thank you. Yes, one more thing on that. I would recommend point them to our higher education page. I don't think I'm sharing my screen that way right now, but it's very close to the links that Dana is putting in the chat. If you go to join and then member types higher education, it has specific benefits for students. And then if you scroll down further, it has specific benefits for professors as well. So of course, professors get 1 year of free AGA membership. After that, we'd like them to become a full government member. Thanks, Dana. That's the perfect link I was thinking of. And then students get free membership for the time that they are students.
Okay, thanks.
That's probably too much information, John. Sorry.
It is, but the more you hear it, the better it is, because it is
Yeah.
really valuable stuff for a kid coming out of college, no question.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think the job thing is safe to assume.
Yeah.
All right. I am going to switch into our next part of recruiting, and that's the focus. It can feel daunting that there are 90,000 government entities and we only have 10,000 members. We are not going to go find 80,000 plus people right now. So I'm going to talk about chapter shape and emotional impact. Chapter shape is the composition of your chapter. We sometimes hear like, oh, the base closed or this federal office building closed in our city and all the private contractors went with it. So there's just no one here to be a member anymore. That means you need to have some state and local folks in your chapter so that, if one sector, changes, you still have that, it's oversimplifying it, but saying like your portfolio is diversified, and you have, your whole chapter doesn't leave with that one change in business. We did talk about this at LEAD, so somebody in your chapter should be familiar with this. I'm not going to spend a long time on this today because it is so different for each chapter, but I would love to meet with you to talk about your chapter shape. We can determine, the current state of it and talk about what you would like that to look like in the future. There is no perfect chapter composition, right? We can't tell you that it should be 30% X and 40% Y. It's going to depend on your local area. It's going to depend on where you're starting. Are you starting with 70% folks from one office at the state? If they have a new rule that they're not paying for those memberships anymore, what does that do to your chapter? So it's going to depend per chapter, but at the end of our presentation, I'll have a link where you can put time on my calendar, and I would love to meet with you about the shape of your chapter and next steps from there. And that is not judgment. That is not a stress test. That is, I want to hear from you about where you think you want to go next, and then just help brainstorm with that. Because like I said, there is no recipe or formula for that. And then of course, the emotional impact. This is going to come back around again, but how do people feel when they arrive at your chapter events? Do they feel welcomed? Do they feel at ease? And how do people feel when they leave your chapter events? Do they have a specific next step? Are you telling them, okay, we're getting together next month on the third Thursday because we get together every third Thursday? Or do they know what webinar is coming up, or what's on the horizon, both in your chapter and at AGA National? Hopefully people are leaving your chapter events feeling inspired, maybe a little tired because their brain is full of so much great training, but excited that they feel like they belong there. They know that that's a comfortable place that they can come back to. And with that, we're going to move into retention. This is almost the same slide on the next one. So when a new member arrives at your chapter event, what do they experience? Dana and I have had the fortune this week of working with a potential new chapter who is having their first event very soon, and we're very excited for them. And they got the space and the speaker and the slides and the invitations and the emails and all of that, right? And so our last meeting with them was, okay, it's all done. What is it going to feel like? Will there be name tags so that people have a symbolic physical reminder that they belong there, that they're supposed to be there? And yes, in this picture, they're pre-printed, but a hello, my name is sticker with a Sharpie works just as well. Will there be music playing so that it's not awkward silence for the first like 3 people that arrive? That's an easy, quick way to just make the atmosphere feel more relaxed as people come in. And then I think the biggest thing when people walk into the room is there an obvious direction? They've picked up their name tag. What do they do next? If the answer is to go sit in a chair and face the screen, there's not going to be a lot of networking going on there. And for some events, that is the most correct next step. Is there something else you want them to do before that? Should there be a greeter or a welcoming committee, depending on the size of your chapter? How can you make people feel welcome and like they belong at your events, especially those first-time attendees who might not be members yet? Again, do they feel like they belong? Do they feel like their peers want them there? Any suggestions, questions on this? And I will have a practical suggestion for this later on in the presentation. I'm going to keep going, but if you think of something, go ahead and put it in the chat. All right, engagement is a huge, huge part of retention. And I'm going to use the words retention and renewal kind of interchangeably. Renewal is when they pay their dues to renew for another year. Retention is, are you keeping them? If they already know right now they're not planning to renew in March, let's have that conversation. If they are super engaged, they're coming to every single thing, but then all of a sudden they drop off. What's going on? Let's make sure we're checking on them. But earlier engagement leads to a higher renewal rate. So similar to the last slide, how do you welcome new members, and not just at your events, but how do you welcome them when they join? And then what do you expect of them in the first month or quarter or year? I want to let you know that at AGA National, we are beefing up the series of emails that new members get. We were waiting for the website rollout, and so now we have new great links to send them. So instead of one welcome email that dumps 12 links at them in a row, they're going to get a spaced out series of emails that has a little bit of information about webinars, a little bit of information about CGFM, about their chapter. This does include a message from the national president that encourages them to get involved in their local chapter. Sometimes from those, I get a response that says, Meredith, I've reached out to my local chapter 3 times and I can't get anybody to answer an email. Okay, we all get busy. It happens. If the person who is designated to respond to emails isn't able to get to it for a day, a week, a season, is there a designated backup that they can bounce that to? Hey, I can't get to this today. Can you send them the welcome message? If you are a chapter that invests in some super fancy email platform, you may be able to set this up automatically. And that could be a whole other training. So we can certainly meet about that if you'd like to. But then just as importantly, or hand in hand with this, is why did they join? And we've kind of been weaving this throughout. Did they join for leadership opportunities? Did they join for networking? If you know why they joined, you can make sure we are meeting or exceeding their expectations, or you can tell me what we're not doing that we need to do. So if they joined for leadership, get them on the CEC, right? If you have space, right? If you have half of your chapter on the CEC, maybe not till next year, but get them engaged soon. If they joined for CPEs, do they know about every webinar that we have and some of our other chapters webinars and everything that your chapter is doing for CPEs? If they joined for networking, is there a specific connection that they're looking for? Can you provide the assist? I could keep going. Did they join for CGFM? But you get the overall impression. Mark asked in the chat, does the email from National include the local chapter's name and website link? It is not currently that customized. It does have a link to active chapters where on the new AJ website where they can click through to the chapter's contact information. That is not, just to clarify, that series is not currently sending, but we hope to have that enacted before the end of the year. It's drafted. We just got to make all the gears turn at the same time. Along those lines, someone in your chapter should be getting an email each time that a new member joins. I believe they send at midnight. I did have a chapter leader tell me that her phone pings every time they get a new member at midnight. I said, put your phone on Do Not Disturb. Okay, engagement through online platforms like LinkedIn, but little engagement otherwise in the membership body. CEC active, membership is not. Sounds like it's time for a survey. I could get on my survey soapbox. Will an announcement be made to chapter leadership? Dana, can you help me remember to do that? We can certainly make that happen. Engagement online, chapter survey. I could get on my survey soapbox all day long. Again, let's meet. Let's look at your survey before you hit send. Especially if people are active online, hopefully you'll get a good response rate on those surveys. My top 3 things for a survey would be keep it anonymous. You might get some spam in there. Oh, well, keep it anonymous or you're not getting real feedback. No more than 10 questions. Ours was longer than I would have liked this summer if you saw our membership survey. But think about, ask, would you like this or this? Things that your CEC feels confident you can provide, maybe you are or are not providing. The example I go back to is, and this has been a couple years ago, I talked to a chapter that was really frustrated in getting their monthly lunch and learns going. They were doing them in person. They were doing them virtual. And the attendance really dropped off. So they were working really hard to get a speaker and a link and getting it all set up every time for like 4 people to jump on. And they felt like the investment of their energy wasn't getting the return they expected. They surveyed their members who said, we'd much rather have a half-day in-person PDT than a monthly webinar. And so they switched. They were able to put all the energy they were using every single month into a twice a year, half-day PDT. And they're really seeing the return on that energy investment. Bumping against agencies blocking Google Forms survey. SurveyMonkey free is way too limited. Any suggestions for other free survey software? Sherry, I'm so glad you put that in there. I was not aware of that, but that is great feedback. We can look into that. Yep. Past surveys, paltry results and responses, just feel stuck. I would say set your expectations. 90% response rate is not a reasonable expectation. When people are busy, everybody's running in a million different directions right now. And the attention economy, if you were at LEAD, you heard me talk about the attention economy. Everything is competing for our attention these days. Sherry said 30% response rate. When we get 50%, we're thrilled. 50% is incredible. I will tell you, AGA emails, so not the survey, but emails in general, we get an average 30% open rate for our emails. That doesn't mean 30% of people are clicking once they open the email. That rate is much lower. So if you are getting ready to run a survey, yep, Kelly said offer a prize. If you respond to the survey, yep, make that an optional question. Drop your email here if you'd like to be entered into the drawing for the prize. But if you're getting ready to send a survey out, let's meet either with me, with Dana, with both of us, and talk about a communications timeline for your survey that we can kind of adjust as you get responses rolling in. But We don't want to bug people with it every day. We don't want to bug people who have already filled it out. Increased training survey with an Amazon gift card donated. That's excellent. Yeah. Yeah, let's meet is the short version. I don't have, again, a perfect recipe for each chapter with that, but if we meet and set up a communications timeline together or strategy, then we can meet again and check in on results and, decide whether we want to plan more communications after that. I hope what you're hearing through all of this is we want to meet with you to support you in your chapter efforts. All right. I mentioned renewals. There's a big difference between an AG. I am going to speed through this because it's not as relevant and we're about halfway through our time. There's a big difference between an email that comes from me at AGA National saying it's time to renew and your personal contact. Remember how many of our slides said, do they feel like they belong, like their peers want them here? And then consider the timing, the tone, and the call to action. We at AGA National have made some changes in our communication strategies with the federal government shutdown. There are some things we were going to roll out that we decided not to, and vice versa, because it's not a great time to ask people for money. So consider that when if you know those current events that are happening in the area of your chapter, maybe you wait a day or two on an email or a week even. Tone, I put tone, I really meant length. If you want them to take action, there should not be more than 4 sentences in your email. Longer than that, and your call to action gets buried in, the 4th paragraph, and people are not going to scroll that long and click on it. So having a call to action, every email you send should have a specific thing you want them to do, whether that's go like our recent social post or fill out our survey, or what is that action that you are calling them to. All right, we are going to shift into practical strategies. I hope that this is your favorite part of the town hall. And just want to make sure. Okay, yeah, Kelly is still here. First of all, everything that we put out on socials is fair game. Lindsay and Laura and Matt, our communications and marketing team, love when you share our stuff. You probably already know we're on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. Maybe you knew about Threads. Maybe you knew about Blue Sky. No need to go create a bunch of new accounts, but if you're already there, make sure you're following. You are welcome to hit repost on every single thing that we put out. We would love for you to do that. That ensures you have a steady diet of content to go onto your chapter if you aren't producing a lot of content from the chapter specifically. And you can recycle things. As soon as we hop off of here, I'm going to repost last week's post about the members only webinar that's tonight and hopefully get it in a few more people's feeds before we go live at 7 p.m. Yes, we're trying a 7 p.m. one. We're trying new things. We did a member survey and we're responding to the feedback. We are going to shift into suggestions from AGA chapters, and I am going to ask Kelly to share an activity that Virginia Peninsula does. So Kelly, all you.
I feel like you set me up perfectly, Meredith, and the talk about focusing on member value and member benefit. And certainly what I was hearing from people is, that the education is really important. And, a lot of chapters really focus on setting up educational events like the chapter meetings, making sure they give their members so many CPEs a year. And of course, you mentioned these member-only webinars happen, and a lot of times we miss them. Like I miss them, and I feel like I read all the AJ emails. If I'm missing them, I know lots of people that don't maybe look for the AJ emails and read them all are missing them. So what we decided to do, we were very lucky this year that we were able to set up our education program the whole fall in advance. So we try to do a chapter meeting every month, and then we looked at the AJ National calendar, and I believe there were at the time there were 2 members only webinars. So we set up a challenge, and like you said, people like to win, right? Some people, it appeals to them to be competitive. So we set up our own educational events along with the AJ member only webinar into a Grand Slam challenge. And so we've been promoting the whole package. Here are all of them. We already know the events. I was trying to share my screen to show you what it looked like, but somehow I'm not able to show it. But anyways, we set up a flyer that lists all the speaker names, and then contact us for the links. Hopefully we'll get it on our website soon once the websites go. But every time you attend one of these events, including the member only webinar, you get entered into a chance to win. And we're going to crown a Grand Slam champion at the end of the fall. So we kind of try to make it, every email that we put out about our chapter, we're putting, take part in this Grand Slam challenge. And it's stuff that they would be doing anyways, but really kind of just highlighting, like you said, the member benefit and kind of like you mentioned, the idea of engagement, like trying to get people, for all the effort we put into having events, and AJ National puts into having member only webinars, to get people to attend those. So that's what we're doing. I'm sorry I wasn't able to share my screen and show you guys the, let's see if you guys are able to see this, but our flyer. Oh, no, guess I'm not able to share this. Okay.
I just checked our
Well,
sharing settings. That's odd, but if you want to email it to me, we will
Okay.
come back to you in a couple minutes if that's okay.
Perfect. Yeah.
And I just want to shout out, doing the Grand Slam challenge ensures that when people go to Walmart and they see the tower of soda cartons that are shaped like something baseball themed, or I used football, right, for our recruiting challenge, they will subconsciously make that connection to your chapter. Yeah, Kelly, go for it.
Yeah. So I don't know. Are you able to see it now, Meredith?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So again, we couldn't fit a whole lot on the flyer. We tried to post it on Facebook, but we did get, other chapters. We're not limiting it to our own chapter members, because the more the merrier. And so certainly tonight's speaker, Shelly Ryan, is on here, and then we have Thursday. So all of you on the phone, on the call, are welcome to attend these events as well. We have a regional event, our big Commonwealth PDT. We added that too, to be the Grand Slam winner, you got to attend that one too. And that was part of it too. We wanted to draw people, and have some incentive, so people just don't go, should I attend or not? But maybe if they're super competitive and trying to get the Grand Slam, they'll go for it. So, yeah, that's what we're doing.
Awesome. We love that. I hope that gives some other chapters some ideas. We had another chapter leader that wasn't able to join us today, but I wanted to kind of brag on them for a moment. They do two things to make sure they engage their early career members when they arrive at their events. So number one, they get a button to wear next to their name tag that says, like, I'm an early career member. They made this investment one time. They ask them to turn them back in at the end of the event. They can reuse them endlessly, right? It's metal and plastic. But then they have set up the chapter culture that if you see somebody wearing that button, go out of your way to engage them in conversation, especially if they're not talking to anybody at that time. The other thing they do is when they pick up their button, because they're an early career member, they hand them either a bingo card or a scavenger hunt. They make sure that on this bingo card or scavenger hunt includes the chapter president, so that it removes the barrier of any kind of like hierarchy or authority. Oh, thank you so much, Kelly. That's excellent. If anybody wanted to see Kelly's Grand Slam flyer or share it with your CEC, that is in the chat and you can download that. The whole point of having the chapter president or several CEC members on the bingo card or scavenger hunt makes sure that our youngest members, who might be new, who might be more shy, might not feel super comfortable and confident yet, because they are the youngest people in the room, feel, they have a reason to go up and talk to some of the more senior folks in the room. They'll also find somebody who went to, this school, and so they have to figure out who graduated from that college. Lots of different ideas. If that's something you'd like to see, we can certainly get a sample of that emailed out, but just different creative ways to engage people on site. This came about because they saw that their early career members would arrive to the event and then put their name tag on and go stand in the corner and scroll on their phone. That's not serving the reason they joined AGA, unless they're just there for the CPEs. But getting them engaged, getting them talking, and removing those barriers to networking. We are going to shift into some suggestions from AGA departments. So first, I'm going to throw it to John Staley, our Director of Partnerships.
Well, thanks so much, Meredith, and thanks you all for taking the time to join us today. We're really, happy to be talking about membership and how to keep growing it. Quick shout out, I'm wearing my Fairfax Field Hockey shirt today. It is playoffs here in Fairfax. My daughter's team plays at 6:30 tonight, and that's all about creating partnerships and connectivity that Meredith talked about, right? Opening up, sharing something about yourself. We are all humans. We're curious. We want to know. So think about that even as you're talking to someone. It also means you can leverage the existing partnerships you already have. Maybe you went to a high school in the area and you have a teacher who's there who's teaching civics and wants to think about government accountability and what is that word in that particular space. Maybe you went to a university and you know a professor there who's teaching or someone in the admissions department. All of those are places that you can ask for a conversation. We do things at all levels of schools. We have ideas and concepts that we're sharing and can talk about. And so the more you take your network and invite partnerships to come in, the stronger we can be together. I'm going to highlight a couple that are existing out there already. For those of you that are in Virginia, I'm happy to report I was just at the Virginia Municipal League event. They're super excited. We're bringing some energy to the Commonwealth PDT because of the interactions and sharing. So if you live in a state other than Virginia, you also have likely a municipal league or an association of counties or people that you might know in that area. We have all kinds of scaffolding projects we can do with them to share information. You also probably heard about Beta Alpha Psi. That is the Accounting Honors Society we're doing specific work with, national to national and chapter to chapter. So if you have any university in your area, take a look to see if they have a BAP chapter. Conveniently, because we're tag teaming, you will now find in the chat a link to where those BAP chapters are. So take a look. Maybe you know someone there. CC me on any email you'd like, or Meredith on those emails. We know how to get in touch with them. We know how to share with them. And fun fact, AGA is already a corporate partner with them. So we're sending out message to those students already at the national level. We would love to connect them at the local level. And a final little note, and Meredith, I'm happy to take any questions or monitor the chat for you. We're not limiting ourselves just to the classic government groups that are out there. The nonprofit world is just ripe for conversations about the impact that you're making in that particular space. So we continue to have discussions with groups that maybe are supporting youth sports or maybe the arts about telling their story and their impact. So if you're on a parent-teacher organization, if you are part of a chamber of commerce, if you're thinking about an economic development authority around your area, we want to talk to them. They take dollars from people and they do things with them. That is about the way we work together as a group. So happy to share the partnership work and here to support.
Yeah, and I hope you heard John say, thank you, John. I hope you heard John say that we want to help you with that. We're not expecting you to feel comfortable and confident going to talk to every single association or organization in your area. John would love to hop on that call with you if you will make the introduction and set up the meet with the local contact. At this time, I'm going to throw it to Katya, and she's got some slides. Let me remove that. Let me get some slides going. Katya is our Director of Education. Did I get that right, Katya?
Certification, but it's okay. Education.
We like our long titles
kind of in there too.
Yes.
I do a couple different things.
Yes.
Thank you, Meredith.
Right. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. So as Meredith just mentioned, I oversee the CGFM program, and I certainly appreciate Meredith mentioned CGFM several times already as one of the kind of ways that individuals get to AGA. We are seeing people are looking to enhance their qualifications, look for another job and, expand their career opportunities. So they're searching online for professional certifications. And as they come to AGA searching for CGFM, they discover what AGA is all about and other things that AGA has to offer, including membership and education and all of the other programs that we have. So, so CGFM is a great way to enter into AGA as members, as Meredith pointed out earlier with the pie chart as one of the ways. So, so we are trying to kind of come up with some of the promotions that support both membership and CGFM. So this is a great one. This is one of our biggest discounts ever when it comes to the CGFM application. So the application fee for to apply for the CGFM program is $90 for members and $120 for non-members. So members already get a discount, by virtue of being members of AGA. Well, just for this month, and we kind of started at the end of September and we're going through the end of October. So until October 31st, we are giving a $75 discount for 75th anniversary to just our AGA members. So if you are a member, you can apply for CGFM for just $15 until the end of the month. And that, of course, is a huge discount, especially compared to the non-member application fee. So if you think about it, if you are not a member, so if you have somebody who's not a member that you're talking about that may be interested in both, this is a great opportunity to join AGA and then apply for CGFM. So definitely encourage them to join AGA first, because they do have to be a member before getting that $15 application fee. So they have to complete the membership join process first. And if they join now, they also get the prorated membership because we are in the middle of the membership year. So they would actually pay less for the membership plus the CGFM application than they would for just the application, the non-member application, if they were not member. So it is a fabulous opportunity for individuals to apply for CGFM and as well as potentially join AGA. So please use this as your recruiting tool. Please let people know about this opportunity. We understand that, budgets are tight and it's tough to spend money on these programs. So we want to help our community as much as we can. And if somebody's not quite familiar with CGFM, we have a webinar coming up. It's a free webinar next week on October 30th at 1 o'clock. That is just going to go over the information about how to become a CGFM, what the process requirements, and so on and so forth. And Meredith put a link in the chat. So thank you for doing that. And that link to the promotions has the link to the details of the promotion as well as the webinar information as well. And just a quick other plug, we also have CGFM courses coming up. So we have a couple of courses in November, course 1 and 2. So we are looking for more registrations. So please pass that on as well. I can put a link in there too, as far as the courses. So I'll put in the link. So any questions, let me know. We hope that you can let people know to take advantage of this opportunity.
Thank you so much, Katja. I'm going to open it up to questions in one moment, but I wanted to address a couple questions in the chat. If you like these slides and you want to use them, they are always available for you. Just go to chapter resources under administrative items. It's the very first thing. There are instructions here on the first slide about how to use them in Google Slides or in PowerPoint, whichever is your tool of choice. And if you're going to use them in PowerPoint, I recommend you go to File, Download, and choose the PowerPoint option. So those are always available. Dana and I have a calendar reminder to keep those refreshed for you. So Datathon will go away soon because the applications are due December 1st. Hopefully we'll have an NLT scholarship slide since that will open in about a week. But yes, you can see the CGFM slide is promo slide is there. We ask anytime you have an event where you might have a projector, even if the speaker is not using slides, you can have these flipping at the beginning and at the end during a transition time. Let me also say, please do not use all of these slides. Pick and choose the ones that are most applicable for your chapter and your event in that season. You can see it already includes the time to renew slide, but if you go to that slide, it says only use this from January to April. So if you ever have any questions or there's something you wish was in here that you don't see, I just had a request yesterday to add a what is AGA? And so now that exists. So ask and you might receive. And then I just wanted to make sure you all know how to reach me. If you have a question for somebody that spoke today and you aren't sure how to reach them, they're probably on our website. If you need, I can always forward your email to them. But this link here, and I will put that in the chat, That lets you put time directly on my calendar. So no back and forth of like, well, how's Tuesday? What about Thursday afternoon? You can, compare side by side my calendar and yours. And once you set that up, once you go through that, I don't know why I'm wanting to say checkout process, but click through on that website and it'll put the time directly on my calendar with a meeting link for us. So it makes it really easy. I had a lot of things in here that I said talk to me about, so come back and talk to me about them. And now let's open it up to any questions for myself or John or Katya. And if your questions about chapter websites, we're trying. We're working on them as fast as we can. We promise we're not holding them back from you, but I don't have any more information than you have. But what other questions do we have? We're all just ready to go out into the world and recruit new members who will stay engaged and be retained. Longtime AGA members becoming CGFMs. Let me also plug, Katya mentioned the How to Become a CGFM. Oh, thank you, Mark, for the reminder. The How to Become a CGFM webinar. I was able to attend that with CGFM last week. It is incredibly encouraging. So if you just need some sunshine on the afternoon of October 30th, join. Even if you already are a CGFM, even if you're not sure you want to do the CGFM, please join us for that webinar. It's really, it's Kim Jones. She's always inspiring. And you might come away with some new information to talk to people about CGFM. Other trainings possibly on the chopping block, not at this time. NLT is our second largest event of the year, so it is not going anywhere. John, I think I can say that pretty confidently. The shift in TTS was to get an in-person option. If we kept it at the November date, it was going to be virtual only. And we had some people that felt very strongly about having an in-person option. It's always great to be able to just see each other, sit next to each other at lunch, have those little informal conversations. Oh, and Mark asked about finding other members. So do you want to share quickly on our website if you are logged in? Let me make sure I'm logged in as myself. Oh, I'm not sharing my screen. Sorry. If you're logged in, on the right-hand side, you can click on Member Directory. Now, you do have the option to exclude yourself from the member directory. So if you have folks from other chapters joining your trainings, you can search for them here. If you don't find them, send me an email or Dana and we will look them up for you. Some people just prefer not to have their information on the website. So that's just when you're on My AGA, it's on the right-hand side for member directory. Great question, Danielle. We do not have a chart. I can't believe I forgot to say this earlier. We're halfway through the membership year. So right now, for the month of October, folks can join for half the year for half the price. So government membership in the month of October is $50. Add the $15 for CGFM to that, you're only at $65, which is less than a full year of government membership, which is less than the CGFM application fee the rest of the year. It's an incredible savings, an incredible deal. If you have folks that are on the fence about joining or CGFM, just now is the time, right? Try out half a year of membership, see if you feel like renewing in March. We know that you will. And the $15 CGFM application fee, like just put your name in, right? What if you lost maybe $15? But you could, I mentioned earlier that I'm in grad school. I saw an advertisement for free application fee for the school. And I put my application in and I did not expect to get in. And now I attend class 3 nights a week. So just take that first step. You don't know what that will start for you or for someone in your life that maybe needs a little bit of encouragement. I said this at LEAD. I'll say it again. Don't underestimate the power of like, I saw this and thought of you, and send them the link. Somebody asked for the CGFM slide. I will also say, we should have said this before. I'm not sharing my screen again. Zoom has more steps to share your screen than I'm used to. If you go to the AGA homepage right now, it's right there. It's very easy to find, easy to see, top of mind. So hopefully you have some people in mind that you can send that to as soon as we log off of here. Well, thank you everyone for joining us today. We do have just a few minutes left. You're welcome to stay if you have questions. You are also welcome to log off if you are ready. But thank you for all that you do for your AGA chapter and the time that you volunteer with us. And I hope this was a good use of your time. We will see you soon. And free webinar tonight.